Hi, my name is Judy Van Koyman, and you're watching Life Issues. October show is Getting Through Life's Challenges, and guests are mom, Reverend Dr. Norma Stewart Heath, and daughter, Priestess Zana Rivera. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you, Judy. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. And Norma, I'm going to start with you. You were homeless. When did that take place, and for how long?
Yes, I was homeless from around 2011 till approximately 2015, but give or take 1 or 2 years. But I was incapacitated for about 5 years, and during that time, I was homeless the whole time.
Okay. And when did you know that you had hit rock bottom?
I knew I hit rock bottom when in 2012, when I had my mental breakdown. I had a serious mental breakdown, and I was totally incapacitated. I couldn't even bathe myself. I knew I hit rock bottom then. And then several years later, my soulmate passed away in my arms, and that was really the rock bottom that made me get up and do what I had to do for myself to stay clean and go to my treatment, psychiatrist, psychologist, and things like that.
Okay. And how did that make you feel when you hit rock bottom?
Oh, it made me feel first hopeless and then hopeful because I knew I couldn't go no further down, and that way it had to go up. Things had to get better. It couldn't get any worse.
Yeah. And when did you start taking drugs?
I started taking drugs when I was 12 years old. It started off with alcohol and marijuana with some friends at school. And in 12, when I started using alcohol, I was already dealing with trauma in my life, going through sexual abuse, etc. And at the age of 12, when I first smoked a joint, the abuse stopped.
Okay. And I'm going to switch over to you, Zena. Where were you homeless too when your mom was?
When my mother was homeless, I was technically a legal adult, and so I had my place. But before she was homeless, I was homeless as a teen, because I was escaping from the neglect and the dysfunction in the family and the abuse at home, and I was homeless for about 3 years, and I lived on the streets.
And so, but you got out,
Yeah,
and on your own.
I was surviving on the streets as a homeless teen. Well, the positive thing about it was when I was a homeless teen, there was programs and resources. So I went to a program and I was able to, because I couldn't go to my regular high school. So I dropped out and I was taking a GED program. But when I wasn't in class, I was like, living on the streets, selling drugs and living in a very bad lifestyle to support myself, just to have clothes and food and a place to stay for the night. And then I would have to go to school the next day. So the good thing about when I was homeless, I was able to get into a program for homeless teens to get an education and have shelter. But I was caught up in the street life. I was introduced to the street life because I had nowhere else to go, and I was around all these bad people. But through that program and the GD program, I was able to secure stable housing for myself as a legal adult. And my mother, she was kind of like bouncing around as well at the time. After once I got stable, she started bouncing around and, became homeless as well.
Okay. And you had some trauma in your life. Would you like to share?
I'll share a little bit of it. Most of my trauma I had to deal with, it started when I was very, very young. But most of it had to do with having adult depression as a child, which caused me to have sleeping disorder. And during the sleeping disorder late at night, I started, because of the adult depression and the spiraling of negative thoughts I had in my head, I was battling suicidal thoughts and suicidal attempts in the dark. And it stuck with me for a long time. I had a lot of suicidal attempts until I got into really hands-on in my recovery when I was about 21 was probably my last suicide attempt, and I haven't attempted since. And I've taken some trainings to talk about suicide awareness and how tragic it can be, but there's hope. So,
Okay, great. And would you like to tell us about your story? And did you wanted to identify as fluid and how you felt about coming out?
oh yeah, my mom, I told her when I was 13 years old, I went to her and I said, Mom, I like girls. And she was like, do you like only girls? And I'm like, I like boys too. So I knew there was a word called bisexual. So I identified as that originally at 13. I was always into like studying and books and stuff. So I kind of had big words. So I told her and she accepted me. She said, that's okay. She's like, I kind of figured there was something going on. You're always dressing up like a boy. So that was loving, but it was hard for the rest of the family to really understand, like, oh, it's just a phase. And I'm like, no, it's not. I thought it was. And then now as an adult, I identify as fluid because I love people for their hearts and not their private parts. So, you know.
Okay.
Good stuff.
Thank you, Mom.
And Norma, you are a consultant with ODA, ODA. What does that stand for?
Yes, I'm a consultant at the Opening Doors to the Arts program. And it's a program that's been around for more than a decade that provides free and reduced price tickets to people in the mental health community that may not otherwise be able to afford it. It helps with this isolation that we face. We go out to theaters, parks, circuses, dinners, lunch. We're going to Spectacle Island on a cruise on Saturday. It's really,
It's a
really
wonderful
fun.
program.
The Honorable Howard Trackman is the executive director. And if you don't know him, you should get to know him. Everyone should get to know him. He's really, really a big, important part of the Metro Boston Recovery Learning Community and NAMI Greater Boston.
Very interesting. Awesome.
It's fun. I love it.
Yeah. And you have a private practice. Can you tell us about that, please?
Yes, our private business that I founded is called Amron International Organization. I chose to name it Amron because it's Norma spelled backwards, and I like that name. And I wanted to use it years before I started it, but I didn't want it to be connected to Enron, so I named it something else. And after the Enron scandal was forgotten about, I went back to the original name of Amron International Organization. Zayana could say a lot more about it. She's the CEO of it now. But I started it, when it first started, it was to help women coming out of prisons, homeless, with mental health issues and drug addiction. And now it has evolved where we include men and women. We found that a lot of men were coming to us for help, so we decided to open it up for men and women with mental health issues.
Okay, great. And Zena, how do you stay so positive?
I stay positive by surrounding myself with positive people in the recovery community. I do a lot of volunteer work within the community because I used to not go outside. So it's a big part of my recovery to stay in the community doing something recovery based and just being around peers who are like-minded, who've been through trauma, who are in recovery, and also identifying like my family as well now. We've all been getting a lot of help with the dysfunction that was going on and stuff. So we're kind of like working together to stay strong and lift each other up instead of tearing each other down. So I also do vlogging and arts and crafts and coping skills and writing and so that's how I kind of stay positive as much as possible.
Those are all good things. Good for you. And can you please tell us about Amron?
Yes, Amron is doing well actually lately. We have our website up. It has all of our resources, some of our contents and our products. We're a volunteer-based organization. People call us to share our story. People call us to facilitate groups. People call us for one-on-one peer support, men and women, people 18 over. As long as they're, the most important thing I think to know about Amron is that we focus on people who are in any phase of their recovery. As long as they identify that, hey, I want help, but I want self-help. and I want to recover from my addiction or from my mental health or from my trauma. Some people, what's it called? Harm reduction.
Yes.
We focus on harm reduction.
We were trained to do harm reduction,
Okay.
which is great because we meet the person where they're at.
Yes.
Okay.
It's good.
Yeah. And how long have you been in existence?
Rev Dr Loma founded in 2016, and I became the official CEO in 2019. And we revamped everything once I became the official CEO in 2019. We revamped everything for 2020, and we had our first big annual meeting. And COVID kind of took that over this year. We didn't get to do it virtual, but we're going to pick back up with the annual meetings and conferences, and let people know what we've been doing for the year and what we plan on doing for the next year, and get people to join our team or to get resources. And we're big on resources. We love to connect people, bridge people to resources. That's one thing that it founded as a resource tool that is now still a resource tool. Like, we plug people into a lot of things: jobs, housing, food, shelters, anything that people may be in need of in the community, clothing, furniture for their new apartment, stipend jobs, or trainings and stuff like that.
That's awesome. Good for you.
Thank you.
And Norma, why did you want to attend Harvard University?
I think that I always wanted to go to Harvard because I've seen a couple of pictures of myself as a kid, and I would have Harvard sweatshirts, Harvard t-shirts. I don't know if it was putting it into the universe and it manifested and it happened, but I think I always wanted to go. And I was going to University of Massachusetts, Boston, and not realizing I can go. But once I went to UMass, I realized that if you work there, you could get free tuition. So I went for a job at Harvard University so that I can get free tuition for school. And that's what I did. I started working there. I worked there for 20 years with rocket scientists. Very excited before my psychotic break. It was really, really nice. But that's why I want to go. And also the movie Trading Places with Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd. I like the part when Eddie Murphy traded places with Dan Aykroyd, and he was wearing Dan Aykroyd's Harvard sweater. And Dan Aykroyd walked by the restaurant, and he looks in, and he goes, "Oh, sure," like he went to Harvard. I thought that was so cute, and I wanted to say things like that. And I also saw a movie with Queen Latifah and Steve Martin, and there was a part where it was an older white woman that went in a bar, and she went like this, "I'm dreadfully hungry," and I always want to do that. And sure enough, I started doing that. I went to a party at Harvard one time, and I went in there and I said, "I'm dreadfully hungry." It felt so good to say that, and the name, Harvard.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, good for you. And what did your major in?
I majored in psychology. I wanted to major in psychology because not only am I interested in the topic, I knew that something was wrong with my mind. I knew if I wasn't normal per se, because when I got upset, and sometimes little things would get me upset and throw me over the edge, but when I got upset, I would go in the cabinets in the kitchen and take drinking glasses out and throw them against the wall and just break them up because I was upset. And I'll start ripping up pictures, posters, breaking anything in my path, my own stuff. And it's like I'm going cuckoo at the time. I'm just breaking. And I turn around and I look, the house is a mess, everything's broken. I wanted to do psychology to find out how to control those rages that I was going through. I didn't think it was mental illness. I just thought that something was wrong, something wasn't right, but I couldn't dream it was mental illness because I was diagnosed before and I didn't accept it. I was in denial. It wasn't until that psychotic break for 5 full years of not reading, not writing, needing help to do everything, not driving, not cooking, not cleaning, nothing. It was after that psychotic break that I forgot what I was gonna say.
That's okay, but what you're majoring.
Oh, my major in psychology. Yeah, to see what was going on in my mind and learn how to control it if I can. I didn't learn how to control it, but I've learned how to live with it in recovery. So I'm in recovery for mental health. I have a psychiatrist, I have a psychologist, I take medication. Everyone doesn't need medication, but for me, the medications work. I do group therapy, and I do one-on-one.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. But some people wouldn't think about, wouldn't want to share about their background or something, but you want people to know, maybe you could help somebody, seeing this or, hearing about it or something. So good for you.
Thank you, Judy.
And you are also ordained reverend. Why did you want to become one?
I don't think it per se that I wanted to become an ordained reverend. It was that I had a spiritual awakening. Through my mental health, I was hearing voices. I was hearing God and angels, and I was hearing the devil and demons talking in my head, hallucinations, schizoaffective. And I'm hearing these voices, and God is like, come, my child, I need you to help my people. I put you through all of this, through your homelessness, your drug addiction, your mental. I put you through this, my child, so that you can come out on the other side and I can use you to help my people, God's people. But I'm hard-headed. I didn't go right away. I was like, wait, but Satan's offering cigarettes and he's offering weed and sex, and I'm going this way, God. I'm sorry. And it didn't work. I came back beaten, busted, and God just picked me up out of the muck of the mire, and I asked him to come into my heart and guide me, show me how to live, lead me.
Yes.
And that's one thing he wanted me to do, is I started going into Christian groups and churches, and I became ordained at Harvard and also at Universal Life Monasteries, and I ended up getting an honorary doctorate degree. So I was called into being a reverend. I was called into the ministry, and I came in here fighting. And God is still working on me. He's not finished with me yet. He's still working on me. But I'm so grateful that I hold those titles to help his people.
Right.
And that's what I'm doing. He guides me. It's not me.
I call the hip hop reverend.
You call her what?
She's like a hip hop reverend.
Yes, I am like a hip hop. I am a hip hop reverend. I'm hip hop. What do you expect? I mean, what do? We grew up in a hip hop generation,
Right.
and where do we go?
That's where our people are.
Yes,
The people who need a lot of help are in the places that others are afraid to go.
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, Zena, you are author. How many books have you written?
I've written and published 3 books, self-published 3 books. They are mostly anthology poems of my personal anthologies, and all that really authors, and I'm working on that. I want to get some more authors to come and join me with a nice poetry book, but it's mostly just poems and short stories. That's it, creative writing, free-spirited stuff. My first book was titled Division the Veil, and it's in Minuteman Libraries, but I went later on to republish it as The Mental Stigma. Because the title in the program I was working with, I couldn't get the original copy, so I just reprinted it with a new name. I also published Love and Suicide, which is a book about different phases of recovery, really, and of reality, like when you're at your highest moments and at your lowest moments. And in that book, the reason why I titled it Love and Suicide is because it reminded me of Romeo and Juliet. And how, like, if they couldn't love each other, they were gonna, like, lose life, and love can conquer all, and that's really what it's about. The poems are like trying to find love, trying to find yourself, trying to find your spirituality. Where do you fit in this world? And it's just through poems. And then I have the new one is Love versus Fear, which I published last year in 2012. And Love versus Fear is all of the poems from Love and Suicide and from The Mental Stigma. And it also has a brand new short story that was on social media that I wrote for social media, but I ended up putting it in the book at the end. and it's got a little, and there's some new poems as well in that book. Not just so I wanted everybody to have one compact book with all of my poems, and I wanted my audience to grow with my style, grow with my mistakes and how I publish them, like the little glitches and the rawness of it, and watch it just elevate into something more professional and more. But I enjoy writing poetry. It's a great way of self-expression. I've been writing since I was 4?
4.
Yeah, since I was 4, I've been writing scribbling.
I saved her first book.
Yeah, that's
she
it's
wrote.
so cute. I should have brought that.
I know.
I bet it was. Oh, okay. And where can someone find your books at?
Right now, unfortunately, The Mental Stigma and Love and Suicide is not for sale right now. They are being given out as gifts for certain people and for raffles, but not for purchase online. But Love versus Fear is available online if you go to www.amroninternational.org. I'm sure you guys will post the website. If you go there, you can preview the book before you purchase it, and you also might be able to get it as an ebook or a PDF, and you can order print, hardcover, softcover, paperback, or flap wrap. I guess it was called wrap jacket, jacket wrapped. So yeah, you can. There's a link on the Amron website that you can go in through and purchase it, and also preview it before you purchase it.
Awesome. Okay, that's great. Norma, what is in the future for both of you?
In the future for both of us, because we are led by a higher power, and he's guiding us on a day-to-day basis, what our idea is that we want to continue to fight the stigma of mental health. We want to build community, like we do through our groups. And we want to build community,
Fight stigma. And raise awareness. About the issues of mental health.
And work on our own recovery as well. Continue to work on our recovery.
Yeah, especially nowadays with the COVID thing, mental illness has gone skyrocket. I mean, I've heard so many stories and everything. It's horrible and stuff. That
the isolation alone will do it. There's other stuff going on. People have lost people, But I think even just the isolation alone can cause some people need that social interaction.
Yeah, and that's why I love what we do.
Yeah, that's
it's
so
a lot
important.
of social components in it, the groups, and when we go out with ODA, things like that.
No, we missed that during COVID.
Yeah.
Miss going to the library.
Yeah,
I miss doing certain things, because that's part of my recovery is going out. But I was also familiar with isolating, so it's kind of like I've been preparing for this, But it's hard. But thank God for technology.
Yes, yes, definitely.
That has saved a lot of lives because there's resources everywhere with people being online. So I hope people are out there getting the support they need, and if they don't know where to go, they can call Amron.
Yes,
and we
definitely.
can hook them up with some resources virtually or in person or hybrid, which is like half virtual, half in person stuff.
Yeah. So I'm sure our audience is going to be figuring out where they've seen you both at. And you did a segment on Chronicle, and they'll say, "Oh yeah," and that's how I connected with you and stuff.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Can I say thank you to my hairstylist?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, I want to thank Lady V's Nails and Hair from Boston, Mass, Mattapan, Blue Hill Avenue. She did our hair. She did my lashes. And my makeup. So if anybody that's watching this, she does white girls too, but especially if the African American women are watching, give her a call. Judy has her business card.
Yeah.
She's really, really good.
Yeah, she comes to you. She tries to meet you where you are. She's very sensitive to that. She'll
Yes.
schedule you, and
Nice. And also my dress was made and designed by David Joseph, the designer to the stars.
He's
And
wonderful.
he's a friend of mine. Him and his husband Danny they sketched this, they made this. Danny blinged it out with the diamonds, and David Joseph made it. Very, he's a very famous designer, and I thank God and I'm grateful for this dress.
Very
I didn't
beautiful.
have to pay for it.
Nice.
He did it for me for as a gift for coming out of the shelter. He
Nice.
does a lot of charity work.
Yeah. Good.
Yes.
Good. Okay. Norma, if anyone would like more information about anything that we've talked about today, can you please give us your contact info?
Oh, definitely. You can reach us at our email at www.amroninternational.org. You can reach us by phone at 617-942-1879. Like us on Facebook. So that's the phone number, that's the website, and you can like us on Facebook from the website.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm sorry, but that's all the time that we have.
Thank you.
Thank you both for all you do for those in need. I love to hear your thoughts and suggestions. Please send them to lifeissuestv@gmail.com. And remember, live each day to the fullest and celebrate life.